The way me and Zara normally garden is she normally kind of picks the plants and kind of lays out where she thinks they should be. And then I come in and do all the heavy lifting and dig all the holes and sweat my ass off and almost break my back. And this morning, I'm out here sweating my butt off. And after I put plants in the ground, she comes out and she's like, "Oh, could you move this one a little bit over here? Can you spread these out? Can you put these ones there?" And it it upsets me to no end. And I was thinking, why do I get so upset when I bust my butt, sweat my butt off, dig these holes, and then she comes in afterwards and tells me how she wants them to be rearranged. And at first I was like, well, is it because obviously I've been doing all the work and I don't want to do more work if I don't have to? But then I realized I think it's something more than that because for me, gardening is this conversation. It's a conversation I have with Zyra first off, right? She has her vision, she has her intent. We decide that we're going to embark on this quest to rip out this beautiful garden that our previous owner had and try making something our own. But then after that initial conversation, it begins with having this conversation with the plant. Like, where do you want to live? Where do you thrive? What type of light do you need? What type of moisture do you need? And it's not just about putting it where we want, but it's also understanding what the plant wants. And so then we have to I organize the plants based upon what I think they need in terms of light, moisture, shade, etc. And then I have a conversation with the soil. And I have a conversation with the rocks. There's lots of fucking rocks in this garden. So I have to have this conversation with the rocks and try to figure out where the rocks want to go, where they look aesthetically pleasing, where they do the best to support the soil so that the mulch and everything else doesn't drain off into our grass. And then I start digging. And then as I start digging, I have this conversation with the ecosystem that lives underneath the topsoil. Right? Like sometimes Zyro or me or the plant will say, I want to go in the ground right here. And as soon as I start digging, I hit a massive root to one of these huge, you know, 300-foot pine trees. And, I don't really want to kill one of these pine trees because then it'll fall on our house and break our roof. So once I start digging, then there's this conversation with the ground. And if I hit roots, if I hit rocks, I move, I adjust until finally all these events lead to the plant being placed in the best place I think that it will thrive. And so when Zyra comes out and says she wants it moved, it really upsets me because there's this artistic expression that I go through. There's this trauma conversation because these plants and the earth, it's a very traumatic experience. Planting anything in a new environment, digging up the ground, cutting through roots, pulling out weeds. It's this like incredibly traumatic experience for the plants and for everything around. And, I try to respect that. I try to respect that, right? And that's why we put topsoil and mulch. The topsoil and mulch are almost like ointment and band-aids because once you've done so much damage to the ground, you need to re-nurture it, you need to protect it, you need to let it grow and settle in. And that's why we topsoil and mulch afterwards to help these plants heal. All this to say that Zyra and I now have this beautiful, beautiful garden. And I'm kind of afraid that Zyra is not going to want to leave Atlanta because we have no garden like this in Phoenix. And so now I need to figure out how to build a similar garden in Phoenix when we go back in September. I know gardening makes her extremely happy. even though I do most of the work, if we're being honest. But that's what I do for my wife because I love her and I love this hobby. I really do. You know, this is the medicine, right? Today is also my daughter's birthday. So I'm out here gardening while she's getting ready. And we're going to take Sky out to catch air and get lunch with the cousins and have birthday cake later today. And, you know, I think a lot about her. All these metaphors for gardening, they also apply to our children. They also apply to our children. It's like we have this idea for what we want our children to be, where we want them to grow. What's the conversation that we have with them, with what they need, the environment they're in. And yeah, happy birthday, Sky. This garden is for you, and Ray, and Rio, and Zara, and me.